Well, more than 2 years after strikes that crippled Hollywood, a new round of labor talks is underway for workers. The contract that ended the standoff is set to expire in June. SAG-AFTRA, the union that represents actors, has begun negotiations with studios. The WGA will begin negotiations next month. Their contract expires in May.
And many of the issues that sparked the labor dispute could come up again. Joining us now to talk about the negotiations is Elaine Low from the Ankler. Good morning, Elaine. Thanks so much for joining us.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start first with what the actors and writers are asking for. I know last time a lot of it was about AI. Is it the same issue?
Well, AI is unsurprisingly still top of the docket. SAG is starting off their negotiations first. Like you mentioned, they've been playing it pretty close to the vest what their top priorities are. But if you look at some of the things that the Directors Guild and the Writers Guild have said in the past and just the overall concerns for the industry, it gives you an idea of the things that are really top of people's minds, and AI is one of them. I mean, that was something that during the strikes, the writers and actors strikes in 2023, it was almost like an abstraction, right? It's like people were talking about the idea of AI.
Right, but we weren't really seeing it in practice yet.
And that technology has come so far in the last 3 years. People are actually implementing it. They're using it on productions actively. So there's a lot more active concern now about like what are the parameters around this use? How do we protect creatives? How do we make sure that this doesn't replace human jobs?
Okay, so we're seeing that return to the conversation around AI. What is different in these negotiations?
I think it's really an extension of a lot of the things that were still happening in 2023. We're still talking about the impact of streaming and, having better streaming residuals. We're talking about the impact to the jobs market. That's actually probably the thing that has experienced the most change after the pandemic and after the writers and actors strikes 3 years ago. The Directors Guild has made clear that jobs is a big priority for them, especially as we've seen an exodus of production outside of California, outside of the U.S., when you have more and more production going overseas to regions and countries that have better tax incentives, that means that there are fewer jobs happening here, which also means, by extension, fewer contributions to the health and pension plans, that help these guild members survive. So that's another big priority.
And I have to say, too, having lived and worked in L.A. for 20 years, seeing the strikes in 2008, and then we had the most recent ones, and the industry has just really been decimated and has not really recovered from even COVID and those strikes. Do you think members feel differently about a potential strike this time around than they did the last time around?
So I have a lot of conversations with people who work on the studio side, people who work in productions, guild members. The general consensus is that another strike would just be devastating to the industry. I mean, everybody wants to, I think, avoid that and come to an agreement that would be beneficial both for the guild members and for the industry here.
Yeah, a lot of people leaving the industry and having to pivot and do other jobs. I mean, I just hear it all the time, especially in my mom's groups. Women working in the industry are like, I have no work. I need to find a different industry.
I've heard this from so many friends. So what are the studios saying?
Well, right now it's a media blackout period, so nobody's really saying much of anything. But, I think the idea is that, there will be an agreement at the end of the day that we'll be able to avoid a strike. I mean, that's kind of what everybody wants, especially since production has really only just started picking back up in the last year or so. Development of new shows, that's something that's really only started picking back up in the last year. There's finally a little bit more momentum and some optimism around new shows getting made, and I think everybody wants to continue that.
That's what I wanted to ask. Do you feel a sense of optimism? Because as we say, we hear so many personal stories of people who work in the industry who've talked about leaving LA, some of my friends who've talked about moving to a different industry. You feel overall it's optimistic this time around?
Well, I think everybody's trying to be optimistic, right? Yeah, because there are so many people who have left. I mean, you talk to local business owners too. Like I reach out to local prop houses sometimes, studio vehicle rentals, all of these other businesses that supplement production, and they've really been feeling the hit the last couple of years.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. I mean, I think everybody in the industry, because, again, it's not just the people who are members of the union. It's the prop houses and the stages and all of those.
It has a huge ripple effect.
Even here on the lot, we see less action than we used to. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for looking into this for us. We'll continue to follow it.
Thanks for having me.